Let me just start by saying I think FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr is a putz. And I think that what he's doing, all the noise he's making is the typical smoke screen, hiding behind, we're doing, following the rules and we're going through our processes. No, you're taking your instructions from Donald Trump, who wants to go after his perceived enemies and use the institutions of government, of which the FCC is one, to go after broadcasters who didn't broadcast a speech which was largely panned by everyone who watched it, including Fox and other broadcasters out there. So this idea that somehow ABC has committed some egregious wrong by not broadcasting this speech, which is their right to choose whether or not to. There's no obligation, America. So there's no obligation for anyone to carry anything if they don't want to, because that's how our system's set up last time I checked. Commissioner, am I missing something here?
No, not at all. I mean, this is just another stage of this administration's campaign of censorship and control. They have been retaliating against any critics. They have been trying to shape the media in their image, and they want the media to report on this administration in the way they want it to report. So Disney has found its courage. I'm very happy that they have found their courage, because we need the corporate parents of these broadcasters to push back against this administration's violations of the First Amendment. And to be clear, what Disney has is it has the law and it has the Constitution and it has the public on its side. Because what we saw this week was the public showed up. Hundreds of thousands of regular viewers of Disney's local ABC broadcast stations filed comments in the FCC's proceeding to renew Disney's licenses early, which hasn't been done in over half a century. And what they said was, we value our local news. Yeah. We trust our local broadcasters, and we don't think this FCC has any business telling broadcasters or any news organization what's a real journalist, what's real news. And so what we just see is just this intense pressure against broadcasters. And the problem with that, which, by the way, a bunch of conservative groups just wrote to the FCC saying, you've got to stop doing this, because just as easily another administration can come in and they'll come after conservative broadcasters, religious broadcasters. We also have seen a bipartisan group of FCC former chairs and staffers that also wrote to the agency and basically said what you are doing is unconstitutional and chills free speech.
Commissioner, I want to play more from that interview with Dr. Burns and Carr. Let's listen to this.
Look, I think the president has every right in the world, including a First Amendment right, to express his views, to push back on media. I think you see him do that all the time. He's incredibly transparent. He's incredibly direct. I think everyone.
But can he use the FCC to punish them?
Well, again, the FCC, our job is to enforce the Communications Act, and that's what we do across the board.
Is that true? Is he telling the truth that that's what we do across the board, just enforce the Communications Act? Is he telling the American people the truth?
Well, let's start with the fact that no government official at any level should be pressuring media organizations because of the content of their news reporting, their editorial decisions. So we cannot do this under our Constitution. But we're an independent agency, and we're supposed to be an independent agency, regardless of what the Supreme Court just found. And the reason we're supposed to be independent is because Congress decided it was too dangerous to have the most important communications medium of this country, of the world, really, subject to the whims of one person. That's why we are a multi-member, multi-party commission, because we don't want one person deciding what is news and what should be the content.
Yeah.
Another quote from that interview today from Brendan Carr. He says, quote, I think fundamentally the legacy media should want to do a course correction. And he also said it's not, but then in the same interview, he said it's not our role to be the speech police.
A course correction from what?
Exactly. And today, Donald Trump said to reporters at Camp David that he liked them a little bit more now because people were being nicer to him this time around. The coverage was nicer.
Well, what you're seeing is the chilling effect, because this constant pressure from this administration and the retaliation against any content that it doesn't like is leading to organizations to rethink how they report on this administration. They are so concerned about being dragged before the FCC in some enforcement proceeding, like we've seen when KCBS reported on ICE raids. The FCC initiated an investigation against them simply for doing reporting on things that were already public. And they demoted the anchor because of this action. I have spoken with reporters who have had their contract ended early because their broadcaster was so afraid that this reporter had infuriated the commission, not because they didn't have good ratings, not because they didn't actually do good reporting, but they were so afraid of retaliation from this administration. So it is really harmful to our First Amendment, to our free press, and to free speech. And we don't want that. I don't like being called to account by the press. No one in government wants that, but you play an important role. You're the fourth estate. You are supposed to report without fear or favor. And when that's not happening, our democracy suffers.